Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a Coptic stitch notebook. The supplies you'll need are thread, a pad, a box cutter, a bone folder, an awl, and a curved needle. First you're going to take the cover off of your sketch pad. I used a 9x12 sketch pad for this and used watercolor paper. Don't worry about the paper edge on the side of this because it'll be on the inside of the book. The pad I used had 20 pieces of paper, but I only used 13 because I didn't want that thick of a book. You can make this however many pages you want. You're going to take a ruler and cut straight down the middle of the 9x12 board. This will give you two cover boards, and this will show you exactly how big your book is going to be. So as you can see, you have to fold it a little bit and then cut twice through just to make sure it gets all the way through. After you cut your boards, you're going to take each piece of paper and fold it down the middle. This is going to quadruple the amount of pages in your sketchbook. Take a bone folder and run it down each edge to make sure each crease is nice and neat. Now you're going to take a ruler and mark where you want the holes in your paper to be. I did 3 holes 1 inch from each side. Mark it on the top piece of paper first. Then after this, you're going to take that same ruler and run a line down from each hole you made. This is going to make sure all of them are in line. Even though you didn't measure them all, you're going to make sure they're in line whenever you're going to go and sew them. Now you're going to take an awl and poke holes down each dot you made on the first piece of paper. Awls are very sharp tools, so you want to make sure you're taking every precaution you need to do to make sure you are safe while using it. Make sure all the holes poke through to the middle as well. After you've poked holes through all of your pieces of paper, you're going to want to line it up about 1 inch off of the cover. This is going to allow you to be able to sew the covers on in a way that will not fasten them to the very edge. So make sure you're poking hard through these boards. It can be pretty difficult to get it through, so you might have to wiggle it a little bit. You're going to poke through both boards using the first one as a template for the other. Line them up perfectly and just poke through the first holes you've made, and then double check to make sure they both went through each side. So I use the first one as a template and I just poke through. Next you're going to prepare your thread. I used red for this one. You're just going to double up so it'll be thicker. You're going to pull this through and make a loop at the end. Then you're going to thread it through a needle. I use a curved needle, but if you only have a straight needle, that will work just the same. So make sure to thread this through very carefully and not poke yourself. Double threading it will give it a lot more security, and you're going to leave a tail on the end and tie a knot on the opposite end. Double knot it so it won't come through your paper. To begin sewing your first piece of paper, you're going to go out through the inside of the bottom first page. Pull the thread all the way through and go into the back of the bottom hole on the cover. It can be difficult to push this through as well since the board is so thick and the awls usually don't make the right size hole, but to pull that needle through regardless. See, look, I struggled just a little bit here. Once you've pulled it through, you're going to go back into the piece of paper through the same hole you came out of. After you've come out of the cover, you're going to wrap back around that thread once, going under, and then you're going to go back into the piece of paper. You're going to repeat this process through every hole in the piece of paper until you get to the end to attach a new paper. Once you get to the end of your piece of paper, you're going to go out through the last hole and attach the cover as you'd have been normally. Once you're ready to attach your next piece of paper, you're going to grab it and put your needle through the top hole of the piece of paper. You're going to to go back out through the next hole and continue as if there is no cover anymore. So instead of attaching to the cover, you're going to go under the signature before it. Signature is another word for piece of paper in this instance. You're then going to go back through the hole you came through and tie another knot through the amount of thread, and you're going to do this for every hole for the remaining of the book. If you run out of thread, there's no reason to sweat it. You can always add more later on. Just slide more under the place you ran out and tie a double knot at the end. Make sure to double thread it like you did earlier so your book will stay sturdy. And these knots can be difficult to tie because the thread is so long, so be patient with it and don't let it knot up in the wrong area. Make sure to cut the ends of your thread to be the same length, and then you can get back to sewing as normal. Once you're down to one piece of paper left, you're able to add on the top cover. Go in through the cover and come back out. Go under the thread of the last piece of paper that was sewn on. You're going to go back into the hole of the piece of paper that is under the cover. Repeat this process on every hole of the cover and go back into the piece of paper on each one. You're finally at the end of making your book. Now just tie a final double knot in the very last hole and you'll be completed. This is what the spine of your book should look like from the side. Whenever you open it, it should lay flat and you'll be able to see where you sewed it. Each string in the middle should be tight enough to pull like a guitar string, and you can have color residue if you use a colored thread. Thanks for watching! I hope you learned something! Yeah!